Hi, it's Kate at the Sober School, and today I want to talk about alcohol, sobriety, and the way you might be feeling about your drinking during the pandemic. So, right now, we know that people are drinking more alcohol. In the UK, at least, in March, sales of alcohol were up by 22% in supermarkets. And people aren't just stockpiling this stuff for a rainy day. In a study this month, 1 in 5 people said they are drinking more. I don't know what your experience of this is, but to me, it seems as if heavy drinking has never been more normalized. Not only are people buying more alcohol and drinking more alcohol, but they're posting about it on social media too. I've never seen so many posts about people talking about drinking, joking about wine o'clock, posting memes, talking about quarantinis. So people aren't just drinking more, it seems to be becoming more socially acceptable to rely on alcohol to deal with stress, especially during times like this. So if you've been drinking more just to cope with how you've been feeling, this video is for you. And it's not about shaming you for drinking alcohol or making you feel bad. No, all I really want to do in this video is invite you to reflect on how alcohol is serving you as a coping mechanism. Because when you look on Facebook at all those posts about people drinking and the jokes about wine o'clock, everyone's kind of acting as if alcohol is this great coping mechanism and as if it really does help and it does work. And I just want you to start questioning that a bit, really, because I think you are already wondering whether alcohol really is everything it's cracked up to be. And I suspect that if you were happy with the results you were getting from using alcohol as a coping mechanism, well, I suspect you probably wouldn't be watching this video. Here's the thing, coping is really about managing your emotions successfully. And managing your emotions successfully means doing so in a way that doesn't add more stress to your life. And if there's one thing I know about alcohol, when I look back on my own drinking days, alcohol added so much more stress to my life. You know, I used to wake up the next day with my anxiety sky high, and all the things that had been stressing me out the day before, well, they hadn't gone away. In fact, they might have got worse, or I just felt less able to cope with them. Drink by drink, alcohol poured stress and anxiety into my life, but I just couldn't see it at the time because I was so fixated and I believed so strongly that alcohol really was helping me somehow. And if that wasn't bad enough, I had the stress of worrying about whether I was drinking too much, whether I was going to drink that night, whether I needed to stop, whether I should take a break. Did I have enough wine at home? Oh my goodness. When I think back, I can see it was just stress, stress, stress. And when we talk about coping and alcohol, we have to look at everything that happens when you drink. Because sometimes people say to me, well, you know what, Kate? I know alcohol doesn't help me in the big picture, and I know it doesn't make me feel great the next day. But for that first drink, that first half an hour, it does make me feel better. Well, when you fixate on that first drink, it's a bit like trying to judge a movie based on the first scene alone, or judging a holiday based on the first day and none of the other days. We just don't do that, do we? When it comes to alcohol, we have to look at the whole picture. You've got to look at how you feel a few hours after you've had that drink, how you feel in the early hours of the morning when you're awake and you're tired and you can't sleep, how you feel the next day when you're trying to homeschool your kids with a hangover, how you feel later that afternoon when the same old stuff is piling up again and you just don't feel equipped or mentally okay enough to deal with it. That's how we need to look at alcohol. I'd say when we're judging whether alcohol can really help us cope, we probably need to look at a whole 24-hour period. So from that first drink to 24 hours later, what is our experience in that period? And that gives us a much better sense of how alcohol really helps us cope and how it impacts our life. So that's what I wanted to talk about today and highlight, because this idea that alcohol is helping everyone cope with this crisis, well, it's just a story. But it's a story that a lot of people have bought into, so it feels really convincing. And if that story is really working for you right now, if it's empowering you and helping you live a good life, then fine. Like, no need to listen to what I've got to say here. But if you do suspect that alcohol is holding you back, if it's getting in the way of everything from you homeschooling your kids to looking after your health, then I want you to know that there is a different story and you have the power to choose a different story. Talking of stories, I wanted to share something with you that I thought was really interesting. I'm just running another session of my Stop Drinking course right now, my Getting Unstuck class. So this is my online program that shows women how to quit drinking. This latest group started their class on April the 6th, I think. Yes, April the 6th. So right in the middle of this pandemic. And I was expecting to see a lot of people join the class who, perhaps weren't too sure about being there, who perhaps had joined despite everything else going on. They just felt for whatever reason they needed to do it, but they kind of wished we weren't in the middle of a pandemic. However, to my surprise, lots and lots of people who are in this class arrived on day one with a completely different story, one that I wasn't expecting. Lots of them have said to me that they actually think this is a great time to be quitting drinking. They're really pleased to be in lockdown because the pubs are closed, we can't go anywhere, so they're not being invited to parties, they're not having people around to theirs. And when they're on Zoom calls, having happy hours, no one needs to know what's in their drink. So they see it as a great time to quietly work on their sobriety without anyone else knowing. And I've got people in this group who are healthcare workers as well. So you can imagine they're working really long hours right now and they've got kids at home. But they've just decided that actually this is their moment to quit drinking because they've got so much other stuff on, they can't actually deal with drinking on top of everything else. So I'm just sharing that with you because I thought it was such a good way of looking at this and such an empowering story to have in the middle of a crisis. There's so much about this situation that we can't control at all. In fact, the only thing we really can control is the way we respond to this and the stories we tell ourselves about it. So that's all I've got for you today. I'm Kate B. Wherever you're watching this, please scroll down and leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about this and let me know what your intention is for the week ahead. What are your sober goals? What are you working on right now? I'd love to hear about it.